And Manchester United 1, Astana 0, Mason Greenwood goal, saves Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the blushes. But I want to talk off with that because there is a lot to discuss. How do you take that result? I mean, how do you take that result? Do you take it as a negative? Do you take it as a positive? The big positive for me is that 17-year-old Mason Greenwood in front of the Stretford end has literally saved United's blushes. I mean, would we have gone on to get a goal if he hadn't have scored that? I don't know. Did we deserve to win that game? Yes, we did. Were we good enough for large portions of that game? No, we weren't. But Mason Greenwood, I think coming out of that game, we said at the start of it, when the team was selected, we were very, very excited about how that team was selected and the youngsters in it and, really, really excited. And here we are at full time and we're like, I don't know. And we're going to do the player ratings, and it's very difficult to be harsh on these players, but I suppose part of them being ready is that you've got to be harsh on them. So we will be giving the player ratings in a moment. But the Mason Greenwood goal, I just thought we fed it out to the right. He gets past his man and he passes it between the goalkeeper's legs. Now, a lot of people are saying if that's a Premier League goalkeeper, that gets saved. I don't know. He passes it through his legs from 10 yards away. It's a fantastic finish. And look, this lad is a player that has that star quality. Now, look, Europa League, Mason Greenwood, we saw it with a certain other player a few years ago called Marcus Rashford. So we shouldn't run away with ourselves. But in Mason Greenwood, one of the great things is that so many people talk about him in such a positive way. That with regards to Solskjaer saying what a great finisher he is, and Scholes has said it as well. But for me, and for many of you as well, when he's on the ball, he's 17 years of age. Like he actually is physically quite good in relation to his strength and everything. There was a couple of times today where he's getting thrown off the ball. He probably isn't quite ready yet, but he is an amazing, amazing talent. And the way he moves on the ball is very reminiscent of Robin van Persie. And I know that's a bit freakish because Van Persie was at our club and he won us the title. So, he's just saying that. But actually, I think even if Van Persie'd never play for us, everyone would still say he's got that movement of a Van Persie. And he's got the technique. He's a fantastic player with hopefully a very fantastic future at Manchester United. And he certainly arrived tonight and he got us 3 points that we desperately needed, actually. That's the easiest game in the Europa League was always going to be Astana at home. Alkmaar and the Serbian team are better than them, so it was important to get 3 points. But look, in the grand scheme of things, well done to Mason Greenwood. I would give him man of the match. If he was your man of the match, please do smash a like on the video. And let's start off with a positive and say he was absolutely fantastic to get us that goal. Overall performance, I've got my opinion on what I'd give him out of 10, but let's talk about the overall performance in general. Where did it go wrong? Where did it go right? Well, it started off correctly with the team that was selected. I thought he absolutely had to play Gomez, he had to play Chong, and he had to play Greenwood. It was great to have Delo back as well. He had to pick that team. He had to walk the walk because he's been talking the talk all summer and all season really about these young players being ready. Now, are they ready? It's difficult with youth. We were very excited when that team comes out, and at the end of the game, you're like, Chong faded badly. Did he ever get into the game? Greenwood got a goal, but he did get knocked off the ball a few times. Gomez actually did quite well, but went quiet. So are they actually ready? Could you throw those players into a game against West Ham? And the answer has to be probably not. Probably not. However, you don't know how much good that did them tonight. I said this during the game. I remember Beckham's debut. I remember Scholes' debut. I remember their first few games. I remember how long it took them to be that team that then was, you can't win anything with kids. They'd been playing the years before that now and again. They're not going to come straight into the team and throw out consistency. They're not. They've got to play games because they've got to have games. And, next time Chong might play the next leg and not the next game and be brilliant. And then the next game he might not be good. There's going to be inconsistency. You can't expect them to come in and be amazing. That's the whole point. And that's why a lot of people are saying play the youth, because they've got to be given that opportunity to come into the team. And they might not end up being good enough, but you've got to give them that opportunity. So from that point of view, I'm not massively concerned about a good or a bad performance tonight from the youth players. What I am concerned about is, and I'm going to start off with a sympathetic view on Marcus Rashford. Why is he playing so many games of football? Marcus Rashford now has been blamed badly since February. That's a long time. But on top of that, he seems to play every single game. If we've got a game on Sunday, he's playing on Wednesday. If we've got a game on Saturday, he's playing. If he's going on England duty, he's playing. He plays. And I am sympathetic of him because he's still only in his early 20s. And there is so much pressure on him physically, because he shouldn't be playing all these games. Now tonight, who could have played instead of Rashford really? He could have played Greenwood down the middle and put Lingard on the right, but Lingard's just coming back from injury. You don't really want to play Mata, and I think Rashford had to play tonight because we haven't got a very big squad. We haven't got, if you actually think, well, Gomez, Chong and Greenwood, you can't really rely on them because they're going to take their time. You've got a very thin squad, both in the midfield and up front. So Rashford had to play tonight, in fairness. And then he plays, and he comes out the game with no goals. And again, it's going to be a lot of talk about Rashford. I'm sure the fan cams will be talking about Rashford. But the reality is, we are only in September, and saying Rashford's not good enough and everything like that, I agree with it. But what are we going to do? Like, Martial's injured. If Martial's not fit on Sunday, Rashford's got to play, because there is nobody else. You can't play Greenwood in a game like that. Physically, he's not quite there yet. And so Rashford's got to play. So I sympathise with the situation with Rashford. But my big issue with Rashford is he should have scored 2 goals tonight. They were absolute sitters for a striker. And all he's doing is confirming the fear that actually he isn't a goal scorer. Scholes said it a few weeks ago. Scorer of great goals, not a great goal scorer. And I think we are starting to see that a little bit. But I still think he's got a big part to play at Manchester United. And I think somehow Ollie's got to find out what the issue with Rashford, because we can all speculate, but we don't know. But he's not quite at the races, and he's not quite been at the races for 7 months. And I think that in the context of the game tonight, if Rashford has scored one of those easy chances, we're 1-0 up, or we're 2-0 up, but say 1-0 up after 20 minutes. And then it's a totally different game. And I think because he didn't take those chances, it started to play on the minds of a lot of the team. And I think if we would have gone in at 2-0 at half time, I know for a fact everyone would have been saying Deleu's been brilliant at right back, Fred's playing well, Gomez has been good, but because it was 0-0, and because the result will always dictate the mood of the fans. And I think if we just scored those early goals, maybe we would have gone on to win 4-5, 6-0. But we didn't, and then, heads start to drop and you end up scraping a 1-0 win. So I can see how that happened, and it's fine margins. It's fine margins, and that striker scoring that goal can make everybody else's performance a lot better, because it's not actually Fred's job to score a goal. It's not really Gomez's job to score a goal. It's Rashford's job to score a goal, and he didn't do it tonight, and it put a bit of pressure onto the team because of that. So look, but Rashford will play on Sunday again. 2.5 days later, he's going to be asked to play another 90 minutes. We've got to find him a break at some point. He's playing too much football, but the squad is so shallow. And I wanted to say this before I do the player ratings. Let's not forget as well, if this youth thing doesn't work, we still end up going, well, Mata's not good enough, Matic isn't good enough, Lingard's out of form. It all comes back to the board in the summer and not spending the money that we needed to spend. We needed to spend some money in the summer on the midfield and the attack. We got rid of Sanchez, we got rid of Lukaku, Herrera walked out the door, Fellaini went in January, we replaced none of them. We're now looking at the players that we already had and a bit of youth. And if that youth's not ready, or it's going to be inconsistent, then we're a weaker team than we were last year, and we didn't invest in the summer. And it's always going to come back to that. So, you know what? It's not nice, but it's always going to come back to that. And after the win at Leicester at the weekend, many of us said it's a very, very good result, but does it mean anything? Not really. We ain't going to know how this season's going for another month or so, when we start to see, can we go to West Ham and win? Can we beat Arsenal at home? It's going to be a very interesting season, and that's there's no doubt about that. Right, player ratings. Zayn Miasi says, Mark, you're an apologist for the worst performance he's on, 10 million a year. What more do you need? These players are not men. Weak mentality. Drop him. Zayn, I think I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying there, but I also would say, drop him for who? Martial is injured. I don't think you can play. Well, we haven't got 3 forwards anyway. Like, if Martial's injured at the weekend, it's Dan James. If he's fit, it's Dan James. And who's going to play the other 2 positions? We have to play Rashford at the moment because there's nobody else, because the board didn't spend any money in the summer on attackers. He's got to play. We haven't got any other options, and that's the cold, harsh truth, isn't it? With regards to the tactics, a few people saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer pathetic. It's so hard to judge a performance when so many changes have been made. I've seen United go and play Burton Albion with Ronaldo and Rooney under Sir Alex Ferguson and draw. So lots of changes, lots of new players. You can get these sort of results. Was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer culpable? The only thing I would say is I didn't like how we kept getting pushed down the width and chucking crosses in. Delo's a good crosser. He looked like a bad crosser today because he was whipping so many crosses in and they were winning them all because you've got Angel Gomez, Tahith Chong, Mason Greenwood and Rashford. None of them are particularly good in the air for various reasons. And, what we should have done is kept trying to go down the middle. Buzzed the ball into Gomez's feet. He was getting a lot of free kicks, getting a lot of movement. We didn't go down the middle enough. And actually, for all the chances we had, how many times did we carve them open and create a chance? Not really that many. A lot, we didn't, and we're not doing that enough. And I think this is a legacy from Van Gaal and Mourinho. United, we just don't create enough chances. And I think against a team like that today, we probably should have created more chances than we did. We shouldn't be taught. Marcus Rashford probably should have had 7 or 8 chances like he missed. He only had 2. We should have created a lot more. That's what I would say about Ollie. And I think that we're still struggling to find the way we're playing. Like tonight, we still sort of played a 4-2-3-1, which I think a lot of the time Matic and Fred were playing quite deep when they've got Jones and Twansibi behind them and we're playing a team that's never going to score. I think we probably should have chucked Fred further forward and just had Matic sitting. But I don't know. That's what I would say. With regards to the player ratings, I'd give Romero a 6. I mean, didn't really have anything to do, so you can't really give him, 6 is an average score. You can't give him a bad score because he had nothing to do. I thought Delo was actually a 7. Get my bloody mouse going here. I think Delo was a 7. I thought he had a really good first half. A little bit rusty at times, but he's just coming back, and I think he's got a good future at United, and I'm really glad to see him back. Glenn, I'd give Twansebi a 7. He was the better centre-back of the two. He looked assured. He liked bringing the ball out from the back. He was pushing further forward. It was quite a very mature performance from Twansebi. I really enjoyed his performance. Thought it was good. Phil Jones, I'd give him a 5. He was better in the second half, but he looked ridiculous. And I'm not having a go at Phil Jones because it's very easy to do it in his yellow boots, but he just looked ridiculously rusty. He looked like a player that hadn't played for a while, and I suppose that's the problem, isn't it? I'd probably play him against Rochdale. He really didn't look like he'd played a lot of football. He looked slow, and in the second half he got better, but the first half was so bad I'd have to give him a 5, to be honest with you. Rojo would give him a 7. I thought he was good. I thought he enjoyed himself. He put some good crosses in. He was competitive. He played really well. But what I would say is, this is Manchester United versus Astana, and every player who's a senior player should be getting an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It's Astana. They're not a very good team, and they're at Old Trafford. So the fact that people are getting 5s and 7s just shows you why we struggled a little bit, really, because actually they should have all been getting 8s or 9s. Matic would give him a 6. I don't think he was bad. Matic is Matic, isn't he? He's a bit slow. He does like the sideways pass. Did you really need him in a game like this? No, but he needed game time. So, I'd give him an average 6. Fred a 7. I thought he faded a little bit, but Fred needs games. We know this. And I know Fred's in his mid-20s, but I do feel that Fred is a little bit like the youth, where he needs games. And the more games he gets, the better he will get. And, hopefully he will be on the bench on Sunday, because he might find himself not on the bench. He might find himself... you think about the bench, it might be Matic and Mata and Lingard. So I hope Fred's on the bench on Sunday, because I think he's done enough in the last 2 games to show that he's an important player. Angel Gomez, I'll give him a 7. I thought that, to go any higher than that would be ridiculous, but there was moments of brilliance. There was moments where he got knocked off the ball. There was parts of the game where he went a little bit quiet, but I thought he had a generally good game for a young player. And you've got to build on that. And hopefully he'll play against Rochdale, because you've got these... Whatever happens, whatever you think about the performances, they've got to be given more games, because tonight could have been a good game for one of them. It could have been a bad game for them. But the other on Rochdale, it might be one of them has a bad game, one of them has had a good game. That's what happens with youth players. Chong, I'd give him... you know what? Let's be honest. I'm going to give him a 5. I don't like giving young players a 5, because you've got to be patient with them. And I certainly wouldn't write him off. But he started badly and it didn't really get any better. It got quite bad in the second half. But I like Chong. I do like Chong. I think he's just very raw. And he probably would benefit from a loan. But, we are quite weak. We are quite thin. And he might get a bit more game time. And I think he didn't play very well tonight, Chong. But I wouldn't certainly write him off. I certainly wouldn't write him off. Rashford's got to get a 5 as well. I know a lot of people will be saying you've got to give him a 4 or a 3. He didn't have a good game. he didn't have a good game. Even his build-up play wasn't that good. His free kicks were slightly closer, but they weren't great. And he should have scored goals. You can't give him an average score. He was below average today. So Marcus Rashford gets a 5. And then I give Mason Greenwood man of the match 8. So smash a like on the video if Mason Greenwood was your man of the match. I'd give Mason Greenwood an 8. The goal was brilliant. It was the winning goal. It got us out of jail. Would we have gone on and scored another goal? Probably not. So really important goal from Mason Greenwood, and a real talent. And I thought the way he took the goal for a youngster was. You can see what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is talking about when he's talking about he's the best finisher, because that chance when he gets past the player and he's got a sight of goal and it's from an angle. Most people are going to smash at that. They're going to absolutely smash it as hard as they can. He places it between the goalkeeper's legs with power. It's a very, very good finish. And absolutely superb. Ash Mills says crazy ratings. I don't actually disagree with any of my ratings. I just think it's how you take the game, isn't it? It's how you judge the game. I mean, I can't wait to see the fan cams, because how I reacted to the Leicester game, they didn't react that way. So, and it's always going to be about opinion, isn't it? But am I raging angry tonight? No, I'm not. And I think part of that is because I was so buzzing with the team that he picked. And there was a lot wrong with that. But I still think if Rashford had scored those early goals, we would have gone on to win 4 or 5-0 and we would be having a more positive conversation now. I think we've all watched loads of football, and if you don't take your chances and it stays 0-0 against the minnow, the underdog, they grow in confidence. You start to drop confidence, and it ends up being a bit of a slog, and that's what we saw. We had to get over the line, and we did it. But it would have been a very different game if we took our chances early on, and I'm pretty sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be saying exactly that thing. So, look, I'm not going to rant about it. I'm not overjoyed with it, but I'm not going to rant about it because I still think there was quite a few good bits in that game. And a lot of people are saying Fred should have got an 8, Chong should have got a 4, Rojo got a 7. What the fuck, says Logerex. I thought Rojo did well. Rashford should grab some bench. He's not a number 9, says Jeff Authentic. But the problem is we let Sanchez and Lukaku go. I think that was the right thing to do. But who do you... We're very thin up front. We're very, very thin up front. So, Rashford's going to keep playing games, and we better hope that Rashford starts to turn it around, because at the moment, and for the last 7 months, he hasn't been good enough, has he? But, look, I totally understand it. I totally understand the people who are pissed off. But we also saw Mason Greenwood score his very first goal for Manchester United in front of the Stretford end tonight, and that's quite a symbolic moment. So, and what I would say as well is, having a go at Chong, he's a young lad. Like, I really, I agree it was a 4 or a 5 out of 10 performance, but he might play the next game and be superb. This is what happens, and I think we're so desperate as a football club to try and get back to where we were, that you want a quick fix. Youth is never going to be a quick fix. If you thought Gomez played well tonight, well, maybe in his next game he puts in a 4 out of 10. And then the game after that he puts in an 8. It's the inconsistency of youth. You're going to see it with McTominay, and he's 22. We've already seen it with McTominay. Brilliant against Leicester. Man of the match against Leicester. Didn't play particularly well against Wolves and Palace. You're going to get that inconsistency with these younger players. And you're definitely going to get it with Greenwood and Gomez and Chong, because they're ridiculously young, really, and they're only taking their first few steps. So if you were expecting them to come in the team and then be playing against West Ham in every game for the rest of the season, that's never going to be the case. You've got to show patience with those players. Thanks for the contribution, Tom Reedshaws. There's a lot wrong with you thinking 1-0 is good, says Gagandeep Parda. I didn't think it was good. I don't think it's good. Am I celebrating that performance? No, I'm not. I'm trying to offer a little bit of reasoning and say, look, a lot of it you can accept because you expect it. It's not good enough, but it's where we are. Trashford, says S. Razul. Mark, how do you expect to beat us in a few weeks, says Zayn Miasi? Because we beat Leicester at the weekend. And that team won't be the team that plays Arsenal. You'll have Pogba in it, Martial in it, Daniel James in it, Wan-Bissaka in it, Maguire in it, De Gea in it, Lindelof in it. You know, McTominay in it. It's going to be a totally different team against Arsenal. Anna Palupan, I would make Gomez a starter. He is ready. He could be our mini Messi. And if Ollie chooses Lingard for Gomez, then he isn't learning. He could do what Mount does for Chelsea. I think there is an opportunity to get Gomez involved. And I think what a lot of us have been saying about Gomez is right. There's nothing in that performance from Gomez tonight that would make you think he shouldn't be involved in the first team. They were a very big physical team, and he did very, very well. So I think Gomez did come out of that game with positivity, definitely. SK says, I feel like it's Sterling before he got good. It's either burnout or he needs a bit of mentoring for Rashford. Yeah, I think Rashford can get back. Zachary Purvis says, Marcus needs a break. He has looked like he's trying to force his way out of his form he got from that injury versus Liverpool. Chong needs a loan. And on Rashford, you know what? I think, tonight, it's backfired, hasn't it? Because Ollie would have hoped he would have got a hat-trick or something like that, and his confidence is back up. And he's come out of the game with no goal. And it will be playing on his mind, the misses. I mean, like, if he'd gone and got a couple of goals in the second half, the misses in the first half wouldn't have mattered. But to come out of it with no goals, it's just another bad day at the office for Marcus Rashford, isn't it? Darian Jones says, we have a strange thing at United where kids are looking up to kids. How can a youth player be in awe of Rashford? Rojo brings something different. Wrecking Wencher says, look, kids or no, 1-0 is pathetic against that team. Squad depth exposed. Chong reminds me of Eagles. Embarrassing performance, says LB. Good goal, nothing else. Brandell says, I told you about Fred, bro. He needs to play. And Ray Cole Brown Amore says, I like the feel-good factor at the minute. Ollie playing the youth and they are looking great. Keep it up, United. So different opinions, isn't there? A lot of people, I think, are just unhappy with the performance against the team that's not a very good team. But having said that, you know, I don't know what to say. I found this very, very difficult tonight because I think you can't be buzzing about the team he picks and then absolutely go to town on the team. You can't do that. But the squad depth is exposed. I think the person who said that is absolutely spot on. The squad depth is absolutely exposed, and we're always going to keep coming back to that when we have bad performances, that there wasn't enough investment in the midfield and the attack, and there probably is too much faith in that midfield and the attack when it actually isn't that good enough. But we've got what we've got, and we've just got to hope it gets better. And you know, I'm glad that game's out of the way now. Mason Greenwood's got his first proper goal for Manchester United. Gomez has come in and done a good job. Fred's done a good job as well. So they're the three, and Dalot as well. They're four big positives that they should be in and around the first team from now on, because they all did well. I mean, those four players you could say should all be on the bench on Sunday. But we know that won't happen because we know people like Lingard and Mata will be on the bench. But I think all those four have done enough to be on the bench on Sunday. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens. It probably won't do. But these are the players we've got. But I do think patience is important when you're talking about people like Dalot. It's his first game back, and Fred needs games, and certainly the youngsters. But I do agree that tactically there are some issues, and there are still some players in there that are causing us problems. Definitely. And that West Ham game on Sunday is massive. It's absolutely massive, and it's going to be very difficult as well. Anupalupan says, saw an interview of Rashford. He speaks like he has accomplished everything at Manchester United. He thinks he's a legend because he's picturing the youth academy alongside Beckham. Rashford's problem is he needs dropping. It'd be nice to have that luxury, because who do you drop him for? Anyway, please do smash a like on the video if not Marcus Rashford. You're not going to smash a like on the video for that. Smash a like on the video if Mason Greenwood was your man of the match. He was certainly mine, and I think that's the positive we should get out of this, because a 17-year-old lad has scored his first goal for Manchester United, and we don't want it to be a negative. We want that to be a positive experience. So smash a like for Mason Greenwood, my man of the match. Martin Mason says, Mark, it's hard to see Rashi try so hard, but the quality just isn't there in the finishing. The manager needs to be honest with him and play him down the right where he can be a reasonable threat. I think that's a fair point. I think that's a very, very fair point. And Astana, goalkeeper, man of the match, made great saves, 10 out of 10, says Joe Holdway. I think Rashford needs to be taken out of the number 9 position, because it is just exposing the fact that he's not a very good finisher. Mark, your standards have dropped if you are not annoyed, says Zayn Mayasi. I don't think my standards have dropped. I think I could be quite angry on Sunday if we lose to West Ham, but I look at the team. I look at the team that was selected. I look at, how much inexperience there was there. I look at the situation, and I think, you know what? is it going to do our team any good to start ranting and going mad about it when you've got so many young players in the team? I think you've got to look at it pragmatically and be patient with it. And I honestly do think that. Rojo and Delo played like Lukaku was up front. Was really confusing to see repeated crosses. Our fullbacks are key to Ollie's system. Well, if that's the case, Joe and Daniel, then we need to get somebody who can get on the end of crosses. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. And subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right hand corner.